Hi. Plato's Republic said that reality was like where people lived in a cave, and the cave had a fire, and the fire threw shadows upon the wall. And the people living in the cave thought the shadows from the fire represented a true reality. But Plato said it was just a partial glimpse, like a simulation, and that the real, true, deeper reality was outside of the cave, out in the world all around the cave. Here on Earth right now, our old static reality is falling apart. It does not hold either understanding of the things happening around our world, nor does it contain solutions for the great problems and challenges which we face. I've spent more than 30 years of my life in total isolation, figuring out a new and higher reality construct. It's a deeper reality, multidimensional and complex, one where we can understand what's happening around us, but it's also one which shows humanity how to move forward into a bright future and how to solve the many challenges we're facing in the world all around us right now. This video focuses on what's really going on in the deeper reality with the war between Israel and the United States and the nation of Iran. Okay, to understand what's happening with Iran, you have to open your mind to a formal equivalency between two things which happen at two different time-size speed levels of existence. There's something which happens within a developing human embryo right at the 6 to 8 week mark in its development, and there's an equivalency between this and what's happening in our world right now, specifically between America and Israel and Iran. Okay, so here's the equivalence. We have about 8 billion people alive here on Earth right now, and we have around the same number of computers and smartphones and pads and, all the electronic stuff like that. And all these computers are getting connected together on the internet into one larger communicating network. And right at the 6 to 8 week mark of development for a human embryo, it has about 8 billion glial cells. And these glial cells have just begun creating neurons. And the neurons are all getting connected together into the embryo's neural network, into the beginnings of what will become its functioning brain. That's equivalent to all our computers getting connected together onto our internet. Okay, but scientists say our computers are different than neurons, and they would point out big differences between humans and glial cells as well. But here's the key to this. A scientist is looking down at the neurons and glial cells from our human time-size speed level of existence, which is a faster and larger time-size speed level, where the forces of nature are reset differently and where we have a much faster light speed. And see this video for an explanation of the true structure of existence. But anyway, if the scientist was to shrink down like the spaceship in Isaac Asimov's famous book, Fantastic Voyage, if the scientist went down to a very, very small level and went inside an embryonic brain, as he kept shrinking down, he'd eventually cross a time-size speed barrier where the reality around him would change. The glial cells would become smaller human-like beings, and the connected neurons would become connected bantam or smaller computers. He'd leave our human time-size speed level and enter the time-size speed level of a bantam civilization of smaller people and their smaller computers. Existence is simply made up of these multiple different dimensions of existence, each dimension of existence having its own light speed and a resetting of the forces of nature. My point with all of this is that in the real, true, deeper reality for the human race right now, we are a larger level developing embryo, a greater human embryo, right at this critical 6 to 8 week mark in our development. To bear this out, just think about this next equivalency. It's right at this 6 to 8 week mark in its development that the little human embryo begins to go through a biological default process. What happens is the mother's body surrounding this little embryo is filled with her electricity, which is made up of negative energy electrons. And it's right at this 6 to 8 week mark that the embryo's little brain begins to electrify, just like our world has been doing over the last 100 years or so. And the mother's negative electricity turns the embryo female. And our human world has just been adding in all this new electric energy, and it comes across on all these electric screens that we look at all the time now. You're looking at one right now. Phone screens, computer screens, TV screens are all powered by negative energy electrons coming down from our surrounding greater mother system, which is outside of us and all around us. The negative electrical energy is biologically defaulting the human race into female form. And if you are any kind of man out there, tell me that this isn't completely consistent with what we've been seeing here on Earth in recent years. Sperm counts are way down. Men are dropping out of school. We've just lost our way completely. Women don't want to marry us and have our children anymore. We're floundering all around the world. See, internally, inside her Bantam civilization, a woman can't become truly feminine if she's filled with strong masculine energies. So her maternal wave reality just defaults out her inner men. Her electric media world just sweeps the masculinity away as she defaults into a feminine being. In our outer world right now, the new electric world is just emasculating the men. But if we have a greater Y chromosome, which we do, then we must turn our greater self male. Look at this video right here for all my proofs that we do have a greater Y chromosome, and thus we must turn ourselves male or we will miscarry. But okay, this is where Iran and American Israel as well come into all of this. On our greater Y chromosome is a powerful gene called the SRY gene, and it has the ability to turn an embryo male. In the world around us, our greater SRY gene, it creates a greater protein, which I think is what I am. And so this relates to all the information that you'll learn on my videos here on my Paradigm Shift by Mox YouTube channel. They're all about greater life and about a whole new multidimensional reality for the human race. And so this is the information from our greater SRY gene, which is how to turn our world male. You're looking at the information of the greater SRY gene right here, right now. Right at this stage of development, the embryo has this thing called the urogenital sinus, or the UGS. And this has to do with Iran in our world. If the embryo is going to become male, there will be a lot of what's called dihydrotestosterone, or just DHT. And this will cause this urogenital sinus to become the prostate gland. But if the embryo is going to be female, then it develops, it goes through a default process, and it develops into the lower part of the vagina. So Ron is connected to this urogenital sinus. It's a greater version of this part, which is going to become either a vagina or our greater prostate gland. And keep in mind, now this is important, if we were meant to become a vagina, that happens without all this violence and swirling testosterone. All this violence right now, this greater dihydrotestosterone, this shows that the whole process is creating a greater male prostate gland. I think the Strait of Hormuz has to do with the gland nature of things. The prostate gland creates like a liquid energy that then joins with the sperm and helps energize the sperm as it goes inside the woman's body so it can reach the egg cell and everything like that. And look at what's in the whole Persian Gulf. It's just a ton of liquid, different kinds of basically liquid energy. So I think that ties in with some of the gland nature here. Think of it like Israel is playing the role of a bad guy here. They're sort of being the bad guy in all this, but they are the thing that's really kind of forcing, both pushing America and pushing Iran for us to develop into a male being. And this is because Israel is sort of tied to the energies of the sperm or of our deepest, some of our deep paternal energies. So even though they're the bad guys, they're sort of doing deterministically what they're supposed to do here, I think. The nation of Iran comes from our maternal side. So it could naturally become a vagina, but Israel with America and the rest of the world doing all of this DHT stuff, this high testosterone stuff, this is forcing the whole thing to become a male prostate gland. And we have to do this again if we have this Y chromosome, which we do. So, now I'm going to show you something here, which, this is just seems almost too simple, but it shows how we're just being told exactly what's going on. It's just as clear as day if you want to see it. So look at this flag. In 1979, the Iranian Revolution happened, and the new regime immediately turned strongly against Israel and America. It began fighting in all these different ways that it could. And when you look at this flag, it is clearly, obviously, a pair of testicles and a penis coming down into a big vagina. That's what this flag is showing, is really the main thing, is the vagina with the smaller penis and testicles coming down from above. That's not what this is about. It's the bigger, full vagina that is the main thing below. That's saying that the current Iran regime is fighting to become a vagina. It's just clearly the underlying dynamic. If Israel was not very testosterone-like, filled with spit and vinegar, we'd have just quietly defaulted. But I'm saying that Iran and our whole world really want to turn male. All of this is supposed to be happening. Now, this was the old flag of Iran before the 1979 revolution. First, one of the primary reasons we know we have a greater Y chromosome is because of the star at the center of our solar system, which makes up about 99.9%, almost 99.9% of the mass of this whole system, is called the sun. S-U-N, S-O-N, it's the same thing. It sounds exactly the same. That's not a coincidence. So this old flag had a picture of the sun on it. Then it also has a picture of a male lion, the king of the beasts. And one of the only animals that you can tell from just a quick glance if it's male or female is the male lion. And this flag definitely 100% has a male lion. Then there's a third thing here. The oldest symbol for women is the cup, and the oldest symbol for men is the blade. And this flag also has a male blade on it. So the flag of the old regime before this one was just filled with three very powerful male symbols: the sun, a male lion, and a male blade. And think about this. In the book The Lord of the Rings, there was a blade that had been broken, and it had to be remade for the world of men to be saved. And in our world right now, the blade that has been broken must be remade so that our world of men can be saved. Iran needs to re-embrace its male blade energies to save the whole world of men all around the world, so we can build a good, strong, heterosexual, greater male being. So that's it. That's what's really going on with Iran. We do have a greater Y chromosome. And as different nations take on individual responsibilities for our development into a greater male being, Iran should be in charge of our prostate gland, which will be a very important position over the long years ahead. I think this says we really only need two vitally important things from the nation of Iran to end the war and move our whole world forward into greater life, with an honored and very important role for Iran in that future. First, Iran has to go through a regime change. That's just obvious. I mean, think about how Mujtaba Khomeini has had his parents, his wife, and his kids all killed in the action so far, and how he himself has been badly injured. The only future with him as the leader will be ongoing war and killing and a thirst for revenge. Iran has to move into a new place, into a new living world with all new responsibilities. So that's obvious. But the second thing Iran needs to do is for all the people together to vote to go back to their very beautiful original flag from before the revolution. I mean, you can redesign it, but you should put the same three things: a beautiful sun, a great male lion, and a male blade, and just make a new flag, but with those same symbols on it. So, do you, the people of Iran, agree that all this makes sense and that you are ready to go forward as our greater prostate gland? Just show us with your flag. That if you go back to the right kind of flag, that will just tell the energies developing ahead in the future that you are a prostate gland. I think it's, with the right regime change, it should be pretty simple. That would show the world that the people of Iran want to be a prostate gland and not a vagina. I would just mention one other thing here in consideration of all of this is Benjamin Netanyahu has been arguing to take out Iran's leadership for many long years now. And, this is complicated. On the one hand, I'm saying he's vindicated. He's kind of vindicated by these circumstances. There's a deterministic set of dynamics in play where all of this needed to happen, and he has played his role in it. It's kind of a tough and mean role, but, he's done his part. But just on the other hand, with all of this, I think it should be noted that he recently had his own prostate gland removed. In other words, over all these long years, when he looked inside himself and he feels very strongly that he has to destroy Iran, all this time, his own prostate gland was growing toxic and cancerous within his own body. And so he had to have his inner Iran removed from inside of him. So if Iran is going to accept regime change, it is also time for Israel to do the same. I mean, they're not going to move into a healthy place, and without making that change. So both places really need new leaders. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.